And we're back as Mike Cernovich from Danger and Playing Gorilla Mindset to talk about family. What do you do about your family if they won't change? If they, hey Shauna, we can see you. Maybe there you go. There you go. Hi. What do you do about family when they don't change? And there's a lot to unpack. Before we unpack it, I'm going to talk to you guys about why you just have to take action. So, a buddy of mine, I won't call her out, but she is a girl. I was talking to her, and she said, I want to do a podcast. And I said, okay, well, here's my post at Danger and Playing how I start my podcast. Here's the equipment I use. Here's the setup. Here's the mindset. Go do it. Okay. So she records it. And what does she say? Well, like a lot of people, she does not like the sound of her own voice. Well, I don't like the sound of my voice. The podcast is off. People can't understand me. Guys, you gotta let the people decide. You gotta give people permission to reject you, and gals. Okay, when I start doing my podcast, go read some of my reviews. You sound like Donald Duck. I thought you would have a deeper voice. You sound like Mike Tyson. You're like this big guy, but your voice isn't grovelly like Jesse Ventura's. I get all kinds of hate, but I kept fucking plugging along, man, kept doing them. So I have, over 400 ratings and reviews on iTunes. So like 370 something in the US and like 50 in the UK, 50 in Canada, 50 in Australia, whatever. I got a bunch. And when it came down to it, and I released an audiobook, I've already sold 725 audiobooks. And it's been out for about 2 weeks. Most Kindle books will never do 1,000 copies. My audiobook will do 1,000 copies at least by the end of the month. And if you look at my audiobook sales in proportion to total book sales, it's something like, 15%. So my audiobook will probably be 15 or 20% of total book sales, which is crazy high. Usually it's like 5% for most people. That's why most people don't do audiobooks. So am I going to be a phone sex operator? Is that my future? No, but I let the people decide. I said, you know what, I'm just going to keep doing it. People will listen or they won't. They'll reject me or they won't. They'll buy the audiobook or they won't, and look what happened. That's what you got to do. You just let people decide. Are people going to hate on you? Yeah. Are they going to shit on you? Yeah. Whatever, man. You got to fucking take the blows. You got to take the punch to the face and keep moving. But enough about that. Let's talk about family. The family question arises in one of two contexts. One is sort of, my family's really negative and they're bringing me down. What should I do? And then the second one is, I feel like I really have a positive message to share about life and I can help people, but my family won't let me help them. And specifically, I have 2 younger brothers, so I don't necessarily talk to them. I'm not estranged from them per se. They listen to my podcast or whatever. But I don't, I don't hang out with them and stuff. Now, would it be cool to have 2 more me's? It would be fucking awesome. I wish that I had 2 guys who wanted to live like I lived. It'd be fucking amazing. Who knows what it would be? Who knows what they'd be up to, right? This guy's over in fucking Russia, and this guy's over here, this guy's over there. So I sometimes kind of joke, girls have daddy issues. Maybe I have like brother issues, and you guys are like my brothers, right? But yeah, it would be cool, but it's just not for them. So here's the question you have to ask yourself. Couple of questions. One is, do you really got life figured out? That's the first. First is put your ego in check. Why do you think you know so much about life? I sometimes think that about myself. That's why when I say, let the people decide, like, that's what I do, Sometimes I'm like, man, dude, you've made some fucking big mistakes, dude. You're no guru. That's why I say I'm no guru on life. I have a few things figured out. I'm good at a few things. But I'm not, nobody is, though. I bet you, whatever man you think has it totally together, I've gotten very close to a lot of men like that. No, nobody has it all figured out. You just got things kind of figured out for yourself, right? So, why would I tell anybody how to live? Why would I tell my brothers, here's how you have to live? And I tend to believe this more and more as I get older. And as I see people make choices. And as I see people turn to me for advice and I say, here's what you need to do. X, Y, and Z. And they keep doing the same thing. People want to do what they want to do. People are who they are. People, I don't know if happy is a word because people seem miserable, but if a person is wallowing in shit, that person wants to wallow in shit. There's nothing you're going to say or do that's going to change that. Eventually, or maybe never, the person's going to look and say, fuck, I'm wallowing in shit. I'm a disgusting fucking piece of shit maggot. I need to change my life. And then they do that, and I'm not saying that's true of my brothers or your family or whatever. God help us. I'm just saying that people are doing what they want to do. That's what I've come to accept. Whatever you're doing, that's what you want to be doing. If you're fucking off on the internet, you're goofing off, you're watching porn, you're in a bad marriage, you scream at your kids, you're a fucking shitty dad or mom, that's what you want to do. Because you're making that choice in the moment to do those things. Oh, I can't control myself. You can, you just don't want to. That's what you want to do. You're living the life you want to live. And that's how I view people now. And it kind of is influenced a little by Schopenhauer. You know, Schopenhauer said pity is the worst emotion you can have on a person, because pity is sort of what you would have for a slave or somebody truly helpless. You know, like I pity that person. Well, I don't pity anybody in my family. I don't pity anybody I know. My belief is that they're living the lives that they want to live, so who am I to come and say, you need to change your life? That isn't how I do it. That's not how my marketing is. How many advertisements have I ever bought in my life? I think 2, and that's just because my friends run a website, so when I get a chance to, I like to throw a little money back to them, and I'll do like a sponsored post. That's it though. I don't do advertisements. I don't go out trying to find people. Come on, I'm your Messiah. You know, I'm your Messiah, come to me, and I will change your life. When you're fucking desperate, or you're like, I'm fucking done, man. I'm over this shit, and you go on the internet, how to do X, Y, and Z. Or I want to change my mindset. What's the best mindset book? Well, you go on Amazon, you're like, fuck, my mindset is fucked up. Everybody says mindset is everything, right? Well, mindset is everything. What does it even mean? You go on Amazon, you fucking type in mindset, you find a book for $8.99, and then you're either a fucking pussy who won't spend $8.99 on a book, or you fucking thief and you torrent it, or you buy the book, right? And then you read it or you don't, you apply it or you don't. But whatever you do, you want to do it. That is the way I look at everything. It's the same and true with family. If they're unhappy, they want to be. If people are miserable, they want to be. So that's how you have to start looking at things, because look at your life. If your life is good and you're living as an example of people, and living your what's called in marketing terms like an aspirational life. So if you want to look like, what is my marketing shtick? I live an aspirational but attainable life. Okay? I live a nice life, and I share that with the world, but it's also attainable. You know, I don't make sure everything's perfect. You know, I could really polish myself up and, you know, make sure my hair is combed perfectly and get fashion and styled. But when you do that, it's not really attainable. And then you can maybe have people pedestal you or whatever, but I don't really want people pedestaling me. So I live an aspirational but an attainable life. I say, here's how I live, here's where I started, here's what I do, here's how you can get to where I am. Or, you know, you can get to the best that you can do for yourself. Because we're all in different journeys and not everybody can be everyone else. But you can find out who you are. Are you living an aspirational life? When people see you, they think, well, fuck, that's what I aspire to. Or I aspire to. That's why it's called aspirational. If you are, and your family sees it, then they should reach out to you, right? So people always want me to do consults and this and that. I charge an outrageous amount. I don't really like doing it. But I'll do it if people make it interesting. But if my own brother said, you know, I read Gorilla Mindset, and I've been going over this thing on self-talk, and I really, you know, I'd like help working through it, then I would actually answer that email, right? I would actually spend a little time doing it. But you think I'm ever going to get an email like that? I'm not. And that's just the reality. And then what you got to think, too, is your impact on the world. It's going to change as you get older. The older you are, the more you start thinking about the impact on the world. The more success you have in life, and the more that you're filled with abundance and gratitude, the more you think, you know, I want other people to kind of feel this way. Then you have to make a choice. Because we do not have unlimited energy. We do not have unlimited time on this earth. Wish we did. I could probably sell a book called Unlimited Energy. How to do whatever you want all the time. But we don't. We're human beings. How are you going to use that energy? Right? The gorilla focus. You're always asking, what am I doing in the present moment? And is what I'm doing in the present moment being closer to my vision? And that's about energy. So if I'm like, you got to lose weight, you got to do this, you got to this, I'm using energy now and people aren't going to change. Am I going to make a big impact on the world? Now, sure, they're your family and you're going to be sentimental and you want to do more for them maybe than you would for others, but how much energy should you just divert to them when you can divert it to the rest of the world? That's kind of how I look at it. Well, how can I make a bigger impact to the world? Well, if I'm wasting my time sharing my message with people who don't want it, what am I doing? Well, I was a Christian kid growing up, read the Bible multiple times, been to church God knows how many times, and there's actually a lot of metaphors in the Bible, and one of them is called the casting pearls before swine. Now, I'm not going to say everybody who doesn't live like I do is swine, but why would I go into a pig pen, and throw Gorilla Mindset books in there? The pigs would just eat the books, shit on it, roll around in it, chew on it, regurgitate it. They wouldn't read it or understand it. So I don't believe in sending my message to people who want to wallow around like pigs and shit. And that includes, again, I'm not saying my family's wallowing in shit, but that includes everybody. I'm not going to throw my message out to people who want to be victims. They want to have a victim mindset. Because if you have a victim mindset, you're wallowing in shit, in my view. Oh, it's unfair, and, this is my life, I don't have that. Like, today I had this real weird epiphany, right? So I've been trying to find a good massage place in Paris. I can't do it. If you know a good massage place in Paris, and I don't mean, like, people think, oh, you like the Thai happy ending massages. Guys, no. These women in Thailand, old women, I don't know. They can do things to your body nobody else can. So I'm having another massage in Paris that isn't good. So I'm, human being, and I'm like, I just paid like 80 euros. It wasn't 80, it was 65 euros. 65 euros, and I'm just getting, so I gotta refocus, reframe, or I'm just gonna think I'm wasting money, I gotta get back in Thailand, So I just started thinking about like how amazing my life is and what an amazing point in history it is to be alive. And I'm like, holy fuck, dude, like there are African women in Liberia chained to beds being raped. Imagine, I was like, imagine what it's like to live a life where you have no power, you have no personal choice, where you don't have any control over anything. I like being a big fucking hard-hitting motherfucker. I really like who I am and what I can do. And I'm just like, I'm overwhelmed with like, wow, what, if you believe in karma, I'm like, what did I do in a past life to deserve this? And then I was kind of talking to myself, I'm like, yeah, dude, you've had fucking a nervous breakdown before, your mom was bipolar, you visited her in the fucking, loony hospital, and you were poor, and, you're this and that. And I've had the whole, whole thing, right? I had that skin thing for 2 years. People would see me be like, it would freak them out, and I don't even think about it. And even when I had it, fuck. Even when I had it, I wasn't like, oh, I had it. And as a matter of fact, the rule was when I would see people, I'd go out, I could hardly move. Because when your skin doesn't have any moisture, if you smile, you crack your skin. And then if air hits it or you take a shower and water hits it, it's like salt on a wound. Literally, that's how it would feel. Your skin would get so dry that you wouldn't have that protection. But I had a rule. I would go out. If people wanted to see me, I said, you can see me. But if you fucking ask me about my skin, the first thing you say is, oh, your skin looks good today or it looks bad. Like, I'm just going to leave. We're not allowed to talk about it. Because that's not how I live my life. I didn't say, oh, I can't move my body and I can't even lift weights now. And, my eyes hurt. My whole body aches. My skin is peeling off in chunks. I'm bleeding everywhere. I can't sleep. I just never, and you can ask anybody who knew me when I went through it. This isn't a fucking facade. Whatever, man. That's life, dude. That's life. I'm not going to wallow around in victims. I'm going to focus on what I can do all the time. So if I'm fucking bedridden, okay, what can I do? Then I'm going to do whatever I can do. And that's how I think about life. So that's the whole conversation going on in my head, right? Where I'm like, this is how I choose to view my life. Like, holy fuck, dude. Like, you won the lottery. God, if there's heaven and hell, like, you probably made a deal with the devil and, nobody should be able to live like you live. I think that all the time. Like, I do not deserve to live like I live. It's like a farce. It really is. It doesn't, it really is. I don't feel like I'm living in real life. I feel like it's a farce. But whatever. But I could choose to say, oh, you grew up poor and what was that like and you're bullied and how sad. It's all a choice you make in the present moment, Maybe you don't have what I have, and I'll never say being born, tall, white, broad shoulders, blue eyes isn't an advantage. It is. But I know people like me who are in fucking mental institutions that have breakdowns. So if you think, if you only look at what advantage a person has, which is why I don't like that privilege talk, because it's always, what advantage does he have that I doesn't have? Well, that's scarcity. Because everybody's got it a little worse than you, a little better than you. You have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. So that's how I choose to think about life. So I don't have time for victim mentality motherfuckers. I don't have time for people to tell me how fucking hard their lives are. I don't. Now, if you were a Russian woman who was led out of, a Moldovan woman led to a place and you thought you're going to be a waitress and then suddenly you're being injected with heroin and you're chained up to bed. Yeah, I mean, I'll actually, we can have a nice, compassionate talk and, you can cry and I will, let you cry on my shoulder, and I'll be a very compassionate person. But if you're just some first world motherfucker, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about how tough you think you have it. It means nothing to me. It really does. It means nothing. I just don't care. And that includes my own family. Like, oh, your life is so hard. Please tell me more about how fucking hard your life is. I just don't give a fuck, right? So that's the way you have to look at things. Do you want to share your message with victim mentality motherfuckers? Do you have the time and energy for that? And if you do that, you're taking energy that you could be doing for something else. Because remember, how you use your energy is always a choice. And this is what changed. And this is a recent thing that I came up with. And I've always been okay about cutting people out of my life, but I become like fucking militant. Because I realized, if you're choosing to do one thing, you're choosing not to do another thing. You can call it economics 101, opportunity cost, but very few people think about that in terms of their physical and emotional energy. If you're choosing to spend your life on energy vampires, that's energy you could spend on a person who valued you and loved you, and you could create a positive relationship. If you're spending your money on one thing, you're not spending it on another thing. If you only have a few bucks and you're spending it, wasting it frivolously, buying cigarettes when you could be buying books, that's the choice you're making. That's energy you're using. So I always think of it as like, well, if I'm using energy this way, could I be using it in another more productive way, in a more fulfilling way, in a more meaningful way? And when you really think about life like that, you realize I ain't got fucking time for negative people, family or not. I'm not going to listen to their fucking negative bullshit. I'll just get up and leave the room. I don't have time for negative friends. If people want to be negative and think that because we're friends, they can act like that, don't have time for it. Because I'm using energy on you that I could be using on something else. And I have finite energy. Everybody does. But the way you regulate that is when you use that finite energy on something purposeful and meaningful, you have unlimited energy, right? So it's kind of like a trick. Well, you have finite energy, right? But when you live like I do, you have more energy than you know what to do with. Because I only do what I want to do. I'm aligned with my purpose. I'm aligned with what I want to do, where I want to be, who I want to talk to, what I want to help. So I'm not a naturally energetic person. I never was as a kid. Had asthma growing up as a kid, I had pretty bad genetics. But for doing what I do, I have an unlimited energy. I don't need to hype myself up. Okay, I'm going to get up and write. Boy, I got writers. I don't. So you have finite energy if you choose to spend it on things that are draining. But once you change your focus and you stop focusing on negative family people, negative friend people, negative work people, negative client people, and you focus it on your purpose, then you have infinite energy. So that's my take on family. What's yours? Tell me I'm wrong. I don't really care. People always tell me I'm wrong when I talk about family. So I don't really care. But leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. I think that I'm right. I think if you're spending energy on your family, that's energy you could be spending on developing really deep friendships with other men, deep romantic relationships with other women, mentorship relationships with other people. That's how you got to think of it. You only got so much energy. Choose how you're going to spend it. Focus on how you want to spend it. Then it's a choice in the moment. And when you look at it like that, you ain't got time for that shit. All right, talk to you tomorrow.